Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 4, and today we're going to be asking and hopefully answering the question, were my concerns with the Forza Horizon 4 car pass justified? As I did a video back in December 6th about the car pass, up until the point here with the Peel Trident and Chevrolet Silverado, as these two vehicles were a great disappointment on the car pass, and yeah, kind of solidified my genuine concerns at the time about the kind of cars that were being put in the car pass. The two concerns being cars that are either inferior to vehicles that we already have, as in vehicles that are similar, because this Peel Trident is obviously a lesser version of the Peel P50 as it is heavier, yet has no extra horsepower or extra torque. And yeah, the Chevrolet Silverado is a tuned version of a car that we could have easily had in standard form, and there have been plenty of a couple of versions of them as well that we've had before as well. So yeah, my concerns were that we're having vehicles that were similar to other cars we already have, while being worse, and tuned versions of cars that could have been just given away for free in a in a race or a championship or something. So yeah, I'm happy to say that most of my concerns haven't been justified, as the majority of the cars that were released after December 6th have been pretty damn good. To be honest, there have been a few that you could have made the the justification that they are somewhat similar to other cars that are on this game. The Honda S2000 being a prime example, because obviously we have the Honda S2000 CR on the game already, but I like this being the more ordinary version, and because it is a Japanese version of the Honda S2000, it has more power, more torque than the CR, which is the US version. So yeah, it has some differences enough, certainly enough to justify its existence, and yeah, never had the standard S2000 on a previous Forza game, I don't think. So yeah, that was a pretty damn good car. And yeah, and then we also have the Honda Civic RS. Never had this Civic RS before, so it was a really good addition to the game. And yeah, easily one of the early hot hatchback originators. And then yeah, we kind of had some similar Chevrolets that we've had before, but again, they are different enough to justify their existence on this game. This 1LE, for instance, is far better handling than a standard Camaro ZL1, so, you know, you can use all of that 650 horsepower, 650 pounds-feet of torque a lot better, just because it handles a lot better, so you can enjoy that power and the engine and everything, which hasn't really been changed a lot more. But this Corvette is radically different to a standard Corvette ZR1, so I have no problem with this being on the game. It's got far more power, far more torque, and yeah, like the Camaro, it also handles a lot better. The Morgan, on the other hand, is a little bit worse off in that regard, because yes, it is lighter than the standard Morgan Aero that we have on this game, the Aero Super Sports, but outside of that and the fact that it is a convertible, there really isn't all that much in the way of differences. But again, it's not a completely similar car, and again, this does have some advantages over the hardtop. Principally, it looks a lot better, and it is a little bit faster and slightly better in terms of handling. But then we got a lot better car in form of the Triumph TR6. We've not had many Triumphs on Forza games before, and we've certainly not had a TR6, which outside of the TR5 is my favourite version of the Triumph TR range. So yeah, really pleased to have this on, because it is one of the best 70s open top British sports cars. And yeah, I've been longing for cars from this era a lot more, and I hope that we get some more on future Forza games, if not on this game in itself. Then we got the creme de la creme of the car pass, the Lamborghini Aramar S. Easily my favourite car from the car pass by a long way, and most likely my favourite car on the game in general, and purely because it's a Lamborghini that we've never had before, but it's also a really good Lamborghini that we never had before. And yeah, it's the first pre-80s Lamborghini that we've had outside of the Miura, so yeah, landmark car in the Forza series, and yeah, easily one of my favourites. Then we got the Ferrari GTC4 Lusso. Now, I'm not a massive fan of this car, but I do respect the fact that it's able to do what it can do with all that power and torque, and obviously weight, because it is quite a large car. But yeah, generally quite a fun car to drive, and yeah, it's certainly a lot better than the FF that it replaces. Then we got the MGTA Midget. Now, it's not the fastest car in the world, granted, and it hardly looks great, but it is a British classic in terms of establishing British sports cars with an open top roof. So yeah, I do respect its inclusion. What I don't really like is this Volkswagen double cab pickup. Now, if we didn't have the the Volkswagen Deluxe, camper van, then yeah, I would be fine with this being on the game. But since we already do have that vehicle on this game, and it's hardly any different, it really doesn't have much reason to be on this game. Yeah, it looks different, but outside of that, there is no real differences, and yeah, is a little bit of a letdown. It's probably one of the bigger letdowns since that previous video that I did, to be honest. So yeah, wasn't entirely happy with it, and alongside the TA Midget, which also has barely any horsepower, it was a little bit of a weak to be honest. But it improved the following week with the two Porsches, with this fantastic 911 Carrera S, which has a modest amount of power but uses it really rather well, and then the 968 Turbo S, which is basically an improved 944, but again, really good to drive and really quick as well. And yeah, then the next week, though, it has a Honda NXXR GT, which granted is somewhat similar to previous NXXRs that we've had. It's at least somewhat different, but not enough, quite frankly, for me to be all that impressed by. But what made up for that by a long way is this Mercedes-Benz from 1929. Oldest Mercedes-Benz we've ever had on the Forza game, and easily one of the best because it's utterly insane, quite frankly. 7.1 litre engine, a lot of horsepower and torque for the time, and yeah, just looks fantastic, especially with those exhaust pipes coming out the side of the car. And yeah, I really do like these older 20s, 30s classics cars that we've had on the this game, especially because obviously we've had the two Bentleys from 1931 and other cars as well, and yeah, really do enjoy these kind of cars on the game, and hopefully we can see more of them. And the next week was also pretty good in terms of the Opel Kadett A and the Hillman Imp, another Opel added to the game. We've had various Opels added to the Forza games over the years. Not all that many, granted, but they have come about and they have been all fun, and this Kadett is another one of those. Really do like it. And then we had, for the first ever time on a Forza game, the Hillman brand, which yeah is complete opposite to the Kadett in terms of layout and in terms of what it was going for, but yeah, it complements the Kadett really rather well in terms of being a complete opposite kind of vehicle, and yeah, really a rather interesting vehicle as well, and certainly a landmark British car. But then next week was pretty much again, not quite as great as a Lamborghini Huracan was, but really rather close in terms of the Ford Mustang GT, because this is a car that is out of the film Bullet, and it's a Mustang that I've always wanted on a Forza game. It's long been missing from the Forza series, and yeah, even though we have had other Mustangs from around this period, obviously we've had the standard Mustang GT, we have the Mustang Boss 302, and then we have the 70s Mustang Boss 429, which we haven't had for a while, but as well as the couple of Shelbys as well. But most of those have not been seen since the Forza Motorsport 4 days, so to have this is a real treat, and yeah, it's easily one of my favourite cars to drive around on this game. Even just cruising around, it's really a fun car to drive. And then we got the classic Ford Transit. No, it's not quick. No, it's not going to be setting anyone's hair on fire or anything like that, but it is again a landmark British car, and yeah, you wouldn't have the kind of vans that you have nowadays without this vehicle, which may be a plus or a minus for you, whoever, depending on who you are, but this is a great car, and yeah, it's really fun to drive around alongside other vehicles, and especially since the kind of vans that we've had on this on Forza games previously, including this one, haven't been all that remarkable. But yeah, it's nice to have another one, especially one with an interesting V4 engine. And then finally, the final week, we got a Cadillac Eldorado back from the Forza Motorsport 4 days. Not had that since then, which, I really do like this car. It's big, it's brash, it's hard to miss, and yeah, it's really rather fun to just hoon around a fair bit. But then we also got the latest vehicle from TVR. Never thought I'd say this, but yeah, TVR are back, and yeah, we've got their latest vehicle, which is a joy to drive. It's easily one of the best handling vehicles on the game, and it's got a nice Mustang V8 that's been slightly tuned up by Cosworth to go alongside the handling, and yeah, the really good performance. Granted, I don't like the looks too much, but it's still a really rather good car, and it is a car we've never had before. So yeah, the car pass overall really did improve after that week that I thought that the car pass was going mega downhill, but it improved for the most part. Obviously we had this Volkswagen which I wasn't too impressed by, this Honda NSX-R GT that I wasn't too impressed by, but outside of those two cars there really wasn't too much to complain about. And yeah, like I said, certainly improved upon this week's, which was really rather pathetic. And yeah, certainly improved upon the 22nd of November's as well, which, yeah, I sort of like the Aston Martin Vantage, but this McLaren was utterly useless because, again, it's a heavier version of a car that we already have, and it can't be turned into a convertible, which is utterly pointless. And then obviously beforehand we had these two Hoonigan vehicles, which again really wasn't all that bothered about whatsoever. Would have quite frankly preferred the standard 1977 Ford F-150 to be honest, than the Hoonigan version. And then obviously we had this Honda Civic Coupe GRC. Yeah, it's probably got a place in terms of rallying and stuff on this game, but yeah, not too much of a fan of it. And then the BMW i8, even though I do like the look of it over the standard version, it has no other advantages over that car. But outside of those, yeah, the car pass in general has been really rather solid, but I do think that it improved as soon as we pretty much got into 2019 over the 2018 parts, because though these 2 weeks were good, I like this Jaguar, really like these two Vauxhalls, like the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, Lamborghini Gallardo, even though again it's like a car we've already had, I really did like it nonetheless. And these two Porsches, RX-7 and these two, there wasn't that much that I really liked. I know that's pretty much the majority of it, but considering what I did like in 2019, it was these two, these two, and these two. So yeah, a lot more solid weeks overall, to be honest, than the previous year. So yeah, overall, solid car pass, and yeah, highly recommend getting it. No idea if they're going to add any more vehicles to the game via the car pass, because obviously I thought Forza Motorsport 7 was dead in terms of car packs, but then obviously we got the Barrett Jackson one. So yeah, it could be possible that we get more cars in the car pass in the future. No doubt we'll get more cars in the next expansion pass though, because yeah, we've got another one of them to come alongside Fortune Island. But outside of that and other vehicles that are going to be added via Forza Fun events and the like, I'm not sure what other vehicles or how many other vehicles we're going to be getting in the future on this game that are new to the game in general. But yeah, nonetheless, we have had a solid car pass, and yeah, plenty of unusual cars and some that I never really expected. And yeah, overall, just fantastic. And just for this Lamborghini Aramo and that Mustang GT, it was worth it, quite frankly. Never mind everything else. Nonetheless, I hope you've enjoyed the car pass yourself. If I'd like to hear your favourites. Obviously, my two favourites are this Ford and the Lamborghini. I'd like to know your two favourites as well. But yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.